welcome to a reading. I feel like it's been a while. I've already prayed and pre-shuffled, so I'm pretty much ready to start. I've pulled out a deck that I haven't used, I think, in at least 2 years, maybe longer, so I'm quite curious as to what I can pick up on. Any insight, advice, guidance, confirmation as to what you're moving through. A few minutes in, you usually will feel or sense if a reading is for you or not, but I think by now you all know the drill. I got the world as the underlying energy. You've got Queen of Wands, Princess of Pentacles, Five of Swords, Six of Swords, Five of Cups, Four of Pentacles, King of Cups, and the King of Pentacles in reverse. Honestly, it feels like I just got one-to-one, a similar spread on Patreon, but as well by now you must know that all the readings that I post across all channels work in synergy. Sanctum is like a smaller group that I read for, that still belongs to the broader collective, so I'm not too surprised. What I can see for the broader collective, I guess in this case, is that there seems to be like a new phase, a new period, a new era that you're stepping into. And it's one where you seem to either become more comfortable in your skin. So I'm seeing someone, like this can manifest as you feeling, comfortable being naked or comfortable showing more skin. Start wearing different clothes. You may start, like your sense of style, or the sense of how you dress, or the sense of what, like your taste can even change, is what I'm seeing, or has already changed, and you just like, it's just confirmation. You are attracting a lot of eyes on you though, so that was the other part. For those of you that, are very active, not only in social media, you can also be active within a community, or even like some of you may be politically active. It just seems like you're drawing in attention, musicians, creatives as well. It's just like you're drawing in more attention than usual, or it may feel that way. The reason that is, it's a byproduct of you just feeling more comfortable, being yourself, showing up as yourself. For those of you that are content creators, it can speak of you being comfortable, posting of yourself, letting people see you, letting people have their opinions about you, whether good or bad. It doesn't seem to take you out of your center, or it will be less of that. Like if you've had a tendency of maybe you'd post something, or you'd step out wearing certain clothes, or you'd like present yourself in a certain way, it could be that in the past, so this is why it seems like a new cycle, it could, like in the past, it may have made you sort of crawl back into a shell, or just like throw something out that you actually really loved, or just like sort of hold back, I guess. And this is like the opposing force that is coming through very strongly, of where that is not happening as much. It can be that you go through multiple cycles of this, where you keep like taking it up a notch, but that is just as a summary, like the underlying energy of you really like stepping into a new cycle, a new period, a new era, where you're just less, we could even say like diverted by outside influences. I mean, it can be uncomfortable at first, like those of you that resonate with this, but you feel like, oh, you have certain goals, or you have certain dreams, or you would like to speak about, or like show more of what you're interested in, but you've been holding back due to judgment, due to fears of being seen, because a lot of, there's like an overall energy of there being sort of I don't know if we can call it an invisibility wound, but that like attention may have in the past, this can also be past life energy for a few of you, may have equal danger. Like the more you put yourself out there, the more people will see you, and they will also form opinions about you. That's just how it is. But the main energy, or what I can tell you as confirmation, it just seems like those of you that will resonate with this reading the most, or this reading is for, is that can feel and sense, oh, like what used to bother you before, or what used to make you hold back, it's just not influencing you as much anymore. And it does really speak of something internal within you becoming stronger. So it's like an internal force that is taking over and sort of encompassing other areas in your life. For some of you, will also be within your career, like, I mean, obviously, but you might feel that really strongly in your career as well, that you're suddenly making moves or you're taking up space, that before, yeah, you just didn't have the courage to do so, or there was fears flaring up, and or insecurities flaring up. So that's the underlying energy. That brings you to Queen of Wands. Like, that's just a natural byproduct of this, is that you, yeah, you seem to be someone that commands attention. So even if you're not a content creator, or you, like I said, it can also be just you walking around, or in your community, or in the village, or in the city, or in the area that you grow up with, that you just, yeah, you just would always sort of, like, you're not someone that can be ignored, is what I'm hearing. And it's actually a song by, there's actually a song that I'm just being reminded by, who is it from? It's called, I think, Cannot Be Ignored by, is it Bocco? Oh yeah, Bocco Ute. I don't know if I just butchered that. Bocco Ute Ignored. I'm just gonna click to YouTube, and if I don't forget it, I'll link it below so you can listen to that. Where are you guys? Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna keep going. It's like, yeah, Prince of Pentacles to Queen of Wands. So this specifically speaks of an energy of where you may not yet have the financial income or the financial proof of what we just spoke about. So it's as if that it can be a message of like not to look at that. So if you're like not fully happy with what you have in your bank account, or you feel like it's not matching, this is making me think of like sort of, I don't know if we can call it illusion, but often we think, oh, someone that has a big following also is like really rich, for example, but often the two don't really match together. Someone can have like 1 mil, let's say, if it comes to, if we are speaking in terms of social media and content, someone can have 1 mil and still be, you know, living in a basement or something. So that's like not the measuring, like you cannot measure for like, okay, I'm getting different streams of like pipelines I can tap into. For some, you're either realizing that, so one pipeline tapping into is someone that already has a lot of like you already have a lot of followers, you already have reached like what, yeah, some would seemingly look like you are very successful, you have a lot of attention, you may even have influence, but it's not matching your bank account. It's just one pipeline, like for example. For others, it's more like to prepare you for what is to come, that even when you garner a lot of attention, for example, let's say you're a TikToker and you have like, I don't know, 21 mil views on one video, like you blow up, and the payout from that may be like, let's say $200. I don't know if that's really the equivalent of it, but it just seems like a gap between what someone thinks they will get through attention and then what is reality, and how that sort of, yeah, there's just a gap between that. So this can speak of having like sort of a rude awakening, because it can follow exactly this period that you're stepping into, where, let's say, yeah, for some of you that are active on social media, you blow up, or a video blows up, and you just don't have the financial proof that you would like or that you were hoping for. So I'm going to pull more cards on that, because I may be just, yeah, be able to pick up on what can help you, assist you with that, or it's just maybe information as to not be disappointed or disheartened by that. Yeah, we have the Ten of Pentacles sideways, so it's just sort of confirming that, like, just because you are stepping into a phase, yeah, where you are getting more attention, it's like that attention will not for everyone convert into money. It's like that is a separate skill set that either you're going to learn about consciously, or you just may be very savvy and sort of find a way to yeah, you just may be very business savvy, and you find a way to alchemize all of that into currency. But that's not really what this reading is about. Like, I could pull more on that, but I kind of want to go through the spread, because next I have a Five of Swords with a Six of Swords. So, I mean, yeah, some of you could already be feeling sort of disheartened or disappointed, I guess. It's like certain, like, unfulfilled expectations, or, for example, as of like I'm getting clarification by the Nine of Pentacles. So someone here could be feeling, yeah, like I said, disheartened, or it's like it's just not matching with a sort of like what you thought would happen, or like an imagination, or in this case even an illusion. Like sort of another example is, let's say Switzerland always gets portrayed as like, you know, is a very wealthy country, and it's beautiful. We have like, you know, people are generally well off there compared to other countries. So it gets like advertised like that to other countries, and then when someone decides to actually move to Switzerland, the reality may be very different. You know, there may be more struggles than expected, or it may not all be like so so easy to obtain a certain financial standard that they had just expected would just be given. Sort of like, it's just an example just so I can explain to you the energy that is coming through. It's one of like, oh, my expectations sort of didn't get backed up by reality, and how to deal with that, or how to move through that. So what I'm getting with the Nine of Pentacles clarifying all of this is that what will be the challenge, or what could also be part of like this new phase or this new era, is that you learn to validate yourself. You learn to not be validated, like not to measure your worth through views, through followers, through money, but that sort of going through, and like we can call it like a fate. I mean, I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, because if this can be a lifelong thing, but it's more like to counter the disappointment is to find a way to validate yourself without those means. Can you tell me more? Specifically on this, the Aries reading on Patreon will give you a lot more information. I have the Tower of clarifying this with the Prince of Wands as the underlying energy. Yeah, this just feels like coming from the Queen of Wands to Princess Wands. There just seems to be certain, with the Tower, you're clarifying all of this, certain, yeah, like bubbles being burst, you know, like just having thought things would be a certain way, and then it's not that way. And that apparently in this case, whoever this reading is for, I just see how it's bringing you out of, it's like either suddenly bring up insecurities, or yeah, it's like your worth is like, the way you're measuring worth is sort of hanging by a thread when you go at it this way, because let's say it's all tied to followers. What if overnight, let's say, all social media just, let's say it's just sort of apocalyptic thought, let's say it all just like it all is gone overnight, what will you still have standing that you can sort of be proud of, or be like, okay, yeah, like it wasn't the followers, or it wasn't the attention that was getting, that was making me feel like I can be proud of this and that. It is something that I garnered, like I created internally. So even if all of that is wiped out overnight, I will still have something to hold on to. So yeah, this is a very apocalyptic, I guess, thought process that is coming through, but it's a way to support you, or even assist you to find a way as to how to move through this while everything is still going. Because again, it just looks like I'm reading for someone who, when you go at it that way, your self-worth is sort of hanging by a thread, because it's very volatile. And this in general can just speak of whenever you have your self-worth tied to an external source, like I said, whether it's followers, whether it's attention, whether it's views, whether it's money, yeah, you're always sort of like susceptible to the crowd or to trends or to the up and downs, and yeah, it just looks like someone is waking up to that, or already has had a sort of rude awakening, where you may now resonate with this reading as to, okay, yeah, how can I nurture or build this internal ecosystem, I like to call it, where it's not so susceptible by an external source. And that will then also help you have like avoid that way you avoid having to sit with the sinking feeling of like, oh, I'm not worth as much as I thought I did, or coming from a Queen of Wands, like sort of slipping from a Queen of Wands energy into Princess Wands energy, where it is exactly that. This can also speak of, you know, someone who is really hung up on like male attention. It's just specific. Of course, for some it may be like female attention, can be, doesn't really matter the gender, but just like, yeah, like being desired or lusted over, making them feel good or making them feel like, yeah, I'm, you know, I'm the shit or I'm valuable, when actually that it seems also very fleeting. It can even like more generally speak of being very, very dependent on your looks. And then the reality sets in of like, oh, you know, you might age at one point, you might not look the way you always do, or the tower moment for some, this is also coming through specific, like someone gaining weight and not feeling as good anymore, but like craving external, like craving that someone like craving like external sources telling you, oh, you still look good, you still look great, but you internally not believing it. So it's like, so the whole world could tell you still look good. If you don't believe it yourself, it doesn't matter. So I think you get the gist of this. I'm gonna move on. Although actually I want just a little bit more as to what might help you understand why this is coming through. The High Priestess. Okay, so this is something you already know about. So it can really just be confirmation. And with the Judgment, even you're becoming more aware of this. So this is either a topic that you have thought about before, or you've already had these rude awakenings that brought up. I mean, the Judgment card in this case, in this context, can really speak of a sort of awakening, like just waking up to certain truths that may be painful, and or having situations that are painful. I mean, with the Tower, yeah, this can also be like speak of certain contracts falling through, or you having signed something. Or it's make this also as an example, is making me think of an athlete. I think she was a tennis player who got pregnant, and then instead of being supported through her pregnancy, she was sponsored by Nike. Nike dropped her. So I don't know of how she handled that, but it's just an example of like how I'm picking up on this energy, because I mean, multiple different people will be tuning into this, and you have your own trajectory. So I'm trying to read it in a way that I can read it as general as possible. But yeah, there's just another way of how this can manifest, where you're then sort of left with that gap that we're speaking about. Oh, let's say you had a 100k contract, and then they drop you, whoever sponsored you drops you, and then you may be left with this like sinking feeling of like, wait a minute, because I stepped into motherhood, I'm now worthless. Like, again, it's just an example. It's just like showing how certain external circumstances can really affect the way you see yourself or feel about yourself. And the way this reading is coming through, it just seems to be like guidance as to how you can counter that. And also for some of you who are meant to be in this, like who are meant to be in the spotlight, or you will be in the spotlight in the coming years, it's like seems very significant that you can already now work on that, so that you don't get caught up in something down the line when you have even more eyes on you. So it just seems like, yeah, sort of a benevolent energy to sort of prepare you even for what may be to come. The Five of Cups with the Four of Pentacles. Let's see. King of... What? Okay, it's just adding how that can also speak of misalignment. So again, back to the example with this tennis player that got pregnant, got dropped by Nike, and basically I just got like a message of like how that also, when these things occur, they can be very like sort of, yeah, it can be like a rude awakening, or it can speak of, the tower can speak of abrupt endings, but it's like spirits coming through to clarify, oh, but another way to look at it is like, oh, this was misaligned, like sort of like they would have dropped me sooner or later, or something as natural as giving, like like wanting to become a mother, or wanting to give birth, and then a partner of mine just drops off the earth. Like that speaks of, in this case, speaks of misalignment. So it's just sort of shifting of how, yeah, instead of internalizing that and then it dropping you from a Queen of Wands into Princess of Wands, of like, oh, what did I do wrong, da 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 da. It's more like, yeah, Spirit is saying, well, you can also just check it off as like, okay, it was misaligned, like it wasn't meant to be. And also in that case, I remember in this example I was giving you of this, I think he was a tennis player. It was some athlete, maybe it wasn't exactly tennis player, but I just remember that she then actually got a new contract, which was even better, or she like even was able to have a photo shooting or campaign with a baby or something. It just came out better basically for her. So it's just confirming that, yeah, like the shift, the way you can look at it will also help you move through it, support you through it. But ideally you already have done the internal work, where exactly what seems to be the goal is that your confidence and your self-worth is not dependent on that in the first place. We have the Ace of Swords with the Six of Pentacles, so it just seems like, yeah, this just seems to underlie that there's like certain truths that when something is misaligned, whatever it is, and it drops off, of course it can also always be very cutting in the moment. In this case, especially if there's money involved, like it's not just like, oh, it's misaligned, let's just move on from that. Like, of course there may be like an emotional process that follows, but ultimately this just speaks of there being like sort of a tide that changes, where you then in retrospect can see, okay, this wasn't meant to work out, because actually there was something much better lined up for me. Okay, so yeah, Five of Cups, Four of Pentacles here as well, very very specific, because I'm seeing a dynamic of sugar daddy with sugar babies, and yeah, there's something happening there. So maybe like a sugar daddy drops off, or a source of income. If it's not a sugar daddy, it can just be a source of income. Maybe it was a father figure, or someone just not supporting you financially anymore, and how to deal with that. And it just goes into the same energy of what we just talked about. Like, of course, if you are fully dependent on another person for financial resources, you're always sort of in a volatile state, because also it's easy for them to control you, it's easy for them to call the shots, it's easy for them to say you need to do this and this and that, otherwise you won't get this and that. It's like financial coherent, no, not coherent, like being, wait, let me Google it, it's just the words. It's not coherence, it's like being, or is it? No. Coercive. Yeah, coercive. Using force, threats, or intimidation to make someone do something they don't want to do. So you like become susceptible to that, just in a financial, like through financial means. So yeah, maybe I have some sugar babies tuning in, or you may be in that line of work, so you must know about this. And also I'm just hearing exit plan, so you may have known about this for a while, like you knew it could come to this, or you're just fed up with the dynamic in itself, where you just don't want to be dependent on someone. Like you just don't like the idea of being financially dependent on someone, because exactly it is very volatile, and you're easier to manipulate and control. And there can just be like with the Tower moment, this can speak of a significant situation, or someone just wakes you up of that slumber of like, okay, this can't go on any longer, so what am I gonna do? Let's see if I can get anything on that. The Empress. Yeah, just when this came out, like instantly what I got is a sense of like, oh, I actually have all the resources I need within me. And of course, here as well, you may not recognize this instantaneously. Like you may not recognize that, the Empress here is sitting really pretty. She has her jewels, her gems. She's like, set up for life. She doesn't have to worry about finances a day in her life. Or maybe she did at one point, but now with the energy she's in, it's just, there's no worries about that whatsoever, and it just seems like an encouraging message that you have what it takes to get to this place without needing to be dependent on other people or someone else, or even broader, like without having to be dependent on external sources, which I feel like we could argue a bit, because of course, let's say a business owner or someone that builds up, whatever you build or whatever you create will, whenever you have consumers, you are to like, you wouldn't have what you have without the consumers. Like we just, that's common knowledge. But it just seems like to bring you to that point, like whether it's to sell something, whether it's to, yeah, like this is, for some reason I'm getting, you have something to sell, like bluntly put, you have something that will sell. So it seems like a question of whether you can tap into that source because it's available to you. I'm gonna leave it as such because whoever needs to hear this, like it will just, something will click. I feel like that will already plant a seed for someone. Like I did that as well. Either it's very significant, like very specific for a handful of you that are gonna tune in, or like that's all that needs to be said. I don't feel like I need to say more on that for some reason. Yeah, and then at the end, it's a different energy, but it still sort of ties into the whole topic. At the end, I'm just seeing like cards, or I'm seeing the energy for those of you that are going down the, like, also a different form of being dependent, less like sugar daddy, sugar baby dynamic, like what's coming through, more of like having a partner that you're dependent on, a romantic partner, or like a just like a spouse even, or boyfriend. And specifically I see that someone is like faced with a choice, as if you have like, okay, either I can choose whoever I am truly in love with, like who I have an emotional connection with, and or I choose who finances me, or is like financially more stable, or can give me like a lifestyle that I want. And here again, it just seems a question of like, do you really want to make choices based on that, or do you want to, it just seems like if you tune into this energy and you tap into this pipeline, there seems to be like not only a whole world opening up for you, but also your taste in romantic interest is going to change drastically, because it's like you don't have to choose from a point of, oh yeah, I need to make sure that I choose the right person because I need, I'm financially dependent on them. Like I need the lifestyle I crave, I can like I will only, this is a belief, this can be belief, I will only get if I have a certain type of person in my life with certain affluence or certain financial, like, I heard it as leverage, but that's not really the word I was going for, like a certain degree of, yeah, financial income. Whereas, of course, like, then there's another side of, like, of course, if you're the Empress, you, well, not of course, but you may be more likely to wanna, yeah, get with someone who is same degree or better off due to different reasons. It just seems like the energy in your life, or like the trajectory, will drastically shift once you tune into this pipeline, because like I said, it's like you, with the magician clarifying it behind, and the 10 of cups, this can speak of, even better, this can speak of someone who not only can tap into his or her own resources to create the life that they want, but also actually being fulfilled doing so. So that is the ideal. So imagine when you tapped into this, what type of partners you will be choosing. It will be very different from where some of you are choosing it from now. And it's not to like say that it's wrong, or that it's not right, or that, I mean, that you can do better. Apparently you can do better, but it's more like, it's a very different way of living your life. Even like, it's a very different way, it's a very different quality of life. I mean, the example with the sugar baby sugar daddy dynamic is quite, well, I don't know if extreme is the right word, but that would, yeah, for whoever is living that, or whoever is like resonate with that, you must know yourself how. Well, here specifically with the 5 of cups, it seems to be making you miserable to some degree, but I do understand it from what we've been reading for, because it's like a lot is hanging, there's a lot of pressure, a lot is hanging on certain relationship dynamics to work, to sustain your lifestyle. When this reading is like pointing in a direction of like, what if, and this may be just something you have not felt like is possible for you, or you have not yet explored, but like, what if you tap into, yeah, your own resources, and what you, I feel like I'm arguing with something, because like what you could and can sell, of course, like here you're also selling something, but I think you get like the difference. I don't think I have to like spell that out. But yeah, specifically, I'm seeing like a situation of having three being involved, or having one person that you feel genuine love towards, like you feel connected to on an emotional level, and then two that are just sort of you're keeping around because they can give you something that maybe the other person cannot. And then more specifically, it's like a storyline of like, oh, you can only have the person you feel an emotional connection with if you drop the other two, but you need the other two and you don't know if you want to drop them. And that's again is why, like, if and when you are in this energy, you're not even faced with those problems. But this as well is like, this is like choosing a path, or going down a path very different from the other path, and just being more, I mean, this is one of sovereignty, being sovereign, being independent, being self-sufficient, in a way where it's like nobody can play puppet master in your life. And for whoever I'm reading for, I mean, you may find a way to tap into this pipeline while still being, let's say, in a certain line of work, or being involved with multiple people that you may still be dependent on. That's why I heard like exit plan. So you may be working on that, or this reading may give you confirmation that, yeah, you are like, you have what it takes. Like, you have what it takes to give yourself the lifestyle that you want without needing another person to do it for you. And nobody's saying it's gonna happen from one night, like from today to tomorrow, but it just seems like if and when you choose to go down that avenue, you will 100%, like, I want to say be supported by spirit, because it just seems like it just feels a lot more empowering. It feels a lot more empowering, and a lot more like, oh, this cannot be taken away from me. Like, it would take you out of survival mode and put you into, well, receiver mode. Not only that, but like, the world is my oyster. Like, anything is possible. Like, I've come this far alone. It's like nobody can take this away from me. Whereas the other is like very in opposing energies. Like I already read for you, is like one of, oh, having to move or be a certain way, because if you don't, then it's likely that someone will drop off that you're very dependent on. So with this just comes a lot of freedom, a lot of freedom, a lot of freedom is pretty much it. But whoever this is for, whoever this was meant to find, you may have been really craving that, or you are craving that, which is why even you are, working on an exit plan or working on a way to I just heard exit the fast life, but again, I don't know how to tie, well, it does tie into it, but I did not at all think that I would tap into this. It's coming through very, feels very specific. It feels very specific, so I don't know how many this will resonate with, but I mean, it will find you, it has to. I don't really know if I need to pull more. I can though. Eight of Pentacles, the Hermit, Seven of Wands. Yeah, I just got really, really tired. I got really tired. So, whatever energy I'm tuning into, you may be getting tired of a life that you are living or have been living, and that's why I felt like fast life. I mean, fast life, fast money has also very addictive quality. I just feel like this is for someone that needed confirmation. And also, like I said, it's not like choosing one trajectory over the other. It's not like all your problems will disappear. There may be like a middle ground of where you still need both, like where you still will be moving through two worlds. And also you will be faced with opposition of whoever wants you dependent, whether it's on them, whether it's on the life you're living. It's like, oh, if you exit this life or if you exit that, then it shows certain people where they're not doing that, or where they are wasting their youth away, or not. It just looks like whoever this reading is for, you set yourself apart from the crowd or the crowd that you hang out with, because you have you have some knowledge within you. And again, whether this is just being business savvy or you have an exit plan, it just seems like you have the blueprint of how to change this around. You know how to do it. It's just a question of whether you're going to do it, even when it gets difficult, even when it gets challenging, or even when it's oh, it's easier to just kind of go back to the old life. And with the Hermit out, you may go through periods of introspection, and or this can even be a full blown remodeling, which brings me back to the beginning, which is the best sign I can always get that I'm ready to close soon, where I was telling you that this new period, this new cycle stepping into, where you may be dressing differently. And here specifically, I got a bit of spiritual girly or spiritual. I don't know if boys have a spiritual look as well, but you may just be naturally become more curious about that, and then also dress that way. I don't know if that's really, but there is a look, isn't there? I feel like there's a look. So it could be that maybe that happens to you. Maybe you do a whole 180 revamp. But I don't know how else to explain. I just I tuned into this card and I just got that. That spiritual, that you may just start dressing very different than your usual. And it could be a phase. It could just be a phase that you grow out again. But there's just something about your look, or it will just become very. I don't know. Is there a look? Is there a look of like, oh, you look spiritual? I'm really not sure, but it just felt that way. But also it felt like specific to certain clothes or even tattoos or something like that. So just like a revamp. Maybe you can come back to this in like 6 months and just tell me, yeah, like send me before and after picture or something. I don't know, it would be really interesting. But that just seems to be like what is occurring here. I'll give you the confirmation, hopefully, and hopefully some support, because I just feel like ultimately you seem to know where you're headed or where you want to be headed, and I feel like what just needed to be said or needs to be stressed is that you really have what it takes. You're just gonna be confronted with certain challenges, like I said, opposition, whoever likes seeing you dependent, like I said, whether it's on a person or dependent on a lifestyle or dependent on a way of living, that if you exit that, it's just gonna bring up a lot of question marks. And then if you really have a revamp of like you stepping out looking like a whole different person, I don't know how much you care about that, but it just seems like also, that's possible. People really can change drastically in as little as a few months. So, yeah, I think we're done here. I'm tired now. I'm gonna probably go for a walk and then just sleep. And I want to try and not leave so much. Well, no, rewind. I'm not gonna say anything, but I have missed you. I haven't been on here for a couple of days, and whenever I'm not posting on here for a longer period, you will always find me on Patreon. So, more than welcome to join over there. Like I said, if you feel like you need a extension to this reading, you want more information, check out the recent, it's the Aries July 2026 on my Patreon. You can also purchase it. So I might see some of you over there, and I hope you have a lovely evening, a lovely day, whatever time it is when you tune in. Bye.